Habari ma Africa, mimi ni King, nina furaha kukutana na wewe. Asante kwa kutanzama King Seso. Ladies and gentlemen, I just felt like today it was very important for me to make a reaction video to the lecture that the CIC gave at the Enugu State there in Nigeria. He was invited to be the keynote speaker at the Bar Association annual conference in Nigeria, and it brought a warm feeling to my heart because the CIC has been declined to go and speak to Africans there in Europe. And his voice has been, they have been trying to silence the CIC's voice for a long time now. And you could tell in the past, since the elections, that it has knocked him. But his character has been tested and he is passing with shining colors right now. This lecture that he gave there, or rather this address that he gave at the Enugu State, for me, it resurrected my faith in African unity, especially amongst the two giants being Nigeria and South Africa. I needed the CIC to do this. And I'm going to make a video, with a lot of clips from what he said, because I know some of you are not going to watch the whole thing. So on King Says So, we're going to break it down and cut it and chop it into pieces so that you can understand what is it exactly that the CIC was saying in Nigeria. Let's talk about that, Paseta, and much more.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Says So. I'm your host, Kachi Sohlongwane. Horses in Jiva Sono, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, we are going from South Africa all the way to Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. I love my African brothers and sisters, Gakulu, on this channel. And this is the channel where we are on the forever learning journey of what Black consciousness means and what it should mean for our current generation, what Pan-Africanism is, the spirit of Pan-Africanism, and we are learning on how it can impact and affect us today as we live. So it's very important for me to say that. As you can see with my intro, I'm always preaching one Africa, one currency, one president, one army, one everything in Africa with no borders. I'm always preaching that. I've forever been preaching that statement for a long time. Now, today, and when we talk about One Africa, we're talking also about the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. That is the vision to build Africanized schools in the whole continent. This is African schools that teach about African things, African history, African science, African technology, African agriculture. Everything that has to do with Africa, we teach it at the Pan-African School of Economics and Technology and Agriculture. Unfortunately, there is not going to be any big corporates that are going to come and save us as Africans. We have to use our numerical advantage to fund African projects that want to liberate Africa in its totality. And that is you sending just a 50 Rand contribution to the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. Just a 50 Rand. You can send it to our Capitec bank account. You can go to Back a Body and just type Paseta and you will find us there. You can send us a WhatsApp. You can talk to us and we will be happy to engage with you. If you want to know more about what Paseta is, please go to Paseta School YouTube channel and follow us there, because each and every week we're dropping content there and, teaching you a lot. This time we'll be teaching you about, because this month the theme is agriculture and celebrating women. So it's all about that, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very excited to be part of this vision to build schools in every African country that will speak to the needs of that specific country, ladies and gentlemen. So follow us and visit our website, or that is www.paseta.africa, and then you will find everything, any information you need about us, you will find there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Let me start by saying this. I got emotionally touched when I saw that the CIC was invited in Nigeria. I was happy when Ghana invited the MK political party. I was very happy because I love this. This is what I preach each and every day. And it's a message that is very hard to drive home when it comes to South Africans. South Africans don't easily bite into the message of Pan-Africanism. Let me say that. Especially when you talk about let's unite. South Africans in our majority, we believe, no, let's fix our country first, or let them fix their problems there, or they don't understand this issue that if South Africa and Zimbabwe tackle the Zimbabwean healthcare problem fast, they can resolve it quicker. And that will stop a lot of Zimbabwean sisters coming to South Africa to give birth in Japan. And South Africa can then invest in Nigeria and in Zimbabwe, in the mining, in the minerals that they have, and make a lot of money. A lot of South Africans actually have become millionaires investing in the mining industry in Zimbabwe. Case in point, Gayton Mackenzie, and many others. But anyway, I'm not here for that. I was very emotional to see the CIC in Nigeria. Nigeria, if you are lost online and you view the world with the online views, you will think that Nigeria and South Africa are sworn enemies. That it's like one is the colonizer and the other one is the colonized. You will think that we are the devil and God himself. It looks like online, you will think that South Africa is always fighting with Nigeria. Then people like us, who's got a voice that say, I love my African brothers. I want to unite with my African brothers. Even coming out and saying, my African brothers, we don't like it when you do 1, 2, 3. Let's fix it. Not let's kill him. Not let's ban him. Not let's xenophobia him. Let's fix together. Let's reason together. Other people don't have patience for that nonsense. Julius Malema was supposed to go to the United States, not the United States, in Europe, and he was blocked at the airport trying to board the plane, and he could not go. And this, I think, happened twice. He could not go. And the European people, they understand the voice, the impact of the impact of the voice cord of the CAC. They understand very well. They did not want to see him there reviving the black consciousness spirit of the African people there. They did not want to. So for me, for him to be invited, hey guys, please, this is gonna be a long video. You guys said you don't mind long content, so this is gonna be one of them. For me to see him in Nigeria, looking at the state that, because for me as a South African that has not traveled a lot into Africa, I fear how other African people view me as a South Africa because of what they see online. What they see online about how we South Africans treat our fellow African brothers and sisters. I just fear. I've got this unease. I've got a lot of Congolese, Zimbabwean, Namibian, whatever friends. They've got no problems. When I meet contact with them, there's no problems. But I fear how I will be taken as a nobody, because I'm a nobody. Julius Malema is a somebody. I'm a nobody. If I go to Malawi, what does Malawian people think about South Africa? Zambian people, what do they think about South Africa? Because some of them have never been here. And all they see is the nonsense that is being posted online. So for the Nigerian Bar Association to invite Julius Malema. This is a legal firm. This is people. This is advocates and lawyers and everything that are in this bar association. For them to debate and come to a conclusion that Julius Malema is the one that must come is something that must be celebrated. I promise you. I promise you. And Julius Malema understands it himself. Let's quickly listen to what the CIC said.
I'm humbled that you saw it fit to invite me to give an address to annual general conference, and by extension, that you saw it necessary to invite the EFF to give this keynote address. I imagine it was not an easy for a group of members of the law profession to reach consensus on who will address them, because your profession by nature is one of robust debate and contestation. So I understand here today. I stand here today proud because I know I'm a product of a robust debate and agreement by people who find it difficult to agree amongst themselves.
Yeah, and I really feel like the CIC opened this lecture properly by thanking the people to say, I know you guys debated about it. There's probably other people. You could have brought Pla Lumumba. You could have brought Mama Arikana. You could have brought so many other people. You could have called King Said So. But you chose me as Julius Malema. And I am very humbled that you guys did that, because I know there was a robust debate between amongst you as legal heads. Others were giving reasons why Julius Malema must not come, and others gave reasons as to why he must come. So on behalf of the CIC also, I want to extend a gratitude to the Nigerian people to say thank you for treating the CIC the way you guys treated him. Really, it was not easy for him to be selected. I believe that. I strongly believe that. Okay, now let's get into the lecture. The CIC then went to go and speak about the duties of the legal people. What is their duties as legal people, and how must they carry themselves? The CRC took on, and like I said, I'll break down this speech nicely for you guys. A lot of videos, maybe 10, maybe even more, for you guys to hear what the CIC actually said.
Our duty, however, and primary responsibility is not to maintain laws simply because they exist as they are today. Our duty is not to be instruments of injustice and neocolonialism. It is to be agents of change, and this demands of us to be brave enough to identify unjust laws, speak out, and form part of those that work tirelessly for our judiciary to be of service to our people. I say this not to encourage anarchy or lawlessness, but to draw us back to the difficult truth and reality that at times the laws has been used as a weapon of oppression. It has taken lawyers and activists to walk side by side, hand in hand, to stand up against laws that perpetuate the undermining of the dignity of the people. And we must all be alive to this history and this possibility today. This becomes even more important for us as Africans, because for centuries, our very existence has been unlawful in the eyes of the oppressor. Our indigenous laws have been treated as inferior to Roman Dutch law or English law. To be an African has meant that for generations, we are not worthy of the laws and the rights that make us human beings. And for that reason, it was legal to abuse us, to enslave us, to steal our mineral wealth and oil, and to destroy and kill our heritage, history, and even our lives.
You know, what the CIC said was so very important. Like, the people that practice law, the people that working in the law firms, in our judiciary and everything, need to understand their duty and differentiate it from their responsibility, because it is very important not to maintain the unjust laws that are happening in South Africa, in Africa. I mean, to to be agents of change, is what the CIC said. Be agent of change. Don't just be there and conform to everything. Abantu who don't want to challenge the status quo. Don't just be, you need to identify the unjust laws. And the CIC is saying, he's not saying let us be lawless. He's not promoting lawlessness, but he's reminding us that the laws have always been used as a weapon by our oppressor. Did you guys hear what the CIC said? So there's now coming to a point where we have to then say our indigenous laws versus the Roman Dutch laws, our traditional laws that we have always been living and adhering with, them compared to this Roman Dutch law. How long are we going to conform ourselves as Africans to these laws? That is the question that the CIC is asking. Okay, and then there's a great part in the lecture where he speaks about the formation of the economic freedom fighters. A very long, great part that he spoke about it. I'm just going to give you a small snippet on that.
My brothers and sisters, the humanity of Africa is at the center of what the EFF stands for. We are an organization that was formed in 2013 purely out of the demands of the people of South Africa who wanted an alternative to the former liberation movement to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. We are an organization which is born out of the blood of slain mine workers in an area known as Marikana, where 34 miners were shot down execution style, and the 13th anniversary of their execution was this month on the 16th of August 2025. Yet the families have not seen any justice. No one has answered for this grave injustice. It is out of this deep pain and disregard for African life that the domestic workers, miners, gardeners, petrol attendants, street dwellers, university students, professionals, and ordinary people of South Africa demanded that we form the economic freedom fighters. We were formed to complete the liberation struggle, which was faced by compromise, betrayal, and corruption of the mission for the return of the land and wealth of South Africa to the hands of the people.
Yeah, so I think he gave a nice brief. If you go and watch the entire speech, I did post it for you guys. I think it might be the video before this one. He talked a lot about the economic freedom fighters. Talked at a great length, because I'm sure there's people who know the EFF but don't know the formation. So he talked about where the EFF was formed, the history of the EFF. He talked about Marikana. He talked about everything, and he talked about the why. This was very important. It's like the EFF was formed to finish what the ANC could not finish. You understand? So he went into that and spoke to that and gave everyone just a brief background and breakdown of what the EFF is. And I was very happy about that. I saw a lot of nodding in the head. I saw a lot of, in the fence, I saw a lot of people now getting a better understanding as to what the EFF was formed for and who this CIC is. Remember, some of them have seen only snippets of small clips online about who Julius Malema is. They might not know him very well. So whoever it is in the EFF that organized that the CIC must be considered to go and speak in Nigeria. Perfect, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, then he continued to speak to the people of the law, reminding them that the law has been used in the past to enslave Africans.
I wish to remind you that it was once legal to come to the shores of our great continent and kidnap Africans and enslave us in foreign lands. It was once legal to rape African women and children because they did not have the right to dignity of their European oppressors. It was once legal to take our land and our minerals because, according to the law of the white man, we were not civilized enough to control our own land and our own wealth. In South Africa, our freedom, our oppression, our resistance all had law at the center of it. Under apartheid, it was legal to restrict the movement of Africans to labor reserves called townships. and to teach us inferior education so that we could only be servants of white masters. All of those problems were legal. And it took brave men and women to say that if the oppression of Africans is lawful, then such a law is unjust and must be opposed. Today,
there is a lot of things that are legal today that are not right. There is a lot of companies that put a lot of nonsense in our food that make us sick, but they are protected by the law. The CIC is reminding them that back then, it was illegal to enslave us. It was illegal to take our land. It was illegal to do all of those things. Apartheid was legal. It was on paper. Blacks decide, whites decide. Blacks shall not do this, whites shall not do this. It was clear. It was clear what was happening. So the CIC is saying, let's look into these things, because back then it took a lot of brave men and women to stand up and oppose these laws. And so, but no, but this law is a rubbish. This law does not make sense. There's laws in South Africa that makes us spend millions and millions and millions of money on inmates because of the human rights laws. There's things that are happening in South Africa where you ask yourself, no, but this does not make sense. Why is there a law that says, what example can I give you? That says that a president's campaign funding can be sealed so that the country must not know who funds the president. But you guys, I know, but this country is a joke. South Africa, there's people that funded our president to win the ANC elections so that he can be the president of the country. The funding banking statements were challenged by what we call the public protector. The public protector was then impeached, and then after that came in another loser public protector who was who advocate Koleka. The documents were sealed. For what reason? Wow. And all of us, we are okay with that. No, the bank accounts, they are sealed. It's okay. They are sealed. Yeah, Pala, it happened. Nobody was arrested. It happened. So let's continue. I know, guys. These laws must be changed. So that's what the CIC is saying there. But anyway, let's hear on a lighter note, the CIC talking about alcohol and cigarettes.
We don't want alcohol advertised in South Africa because they advertise alcohol through the means that is not a true reflection of alcohol. Why are you not advertising alcohol with drunkards and show people what alcohol will do to them? It cannot be that alcohol is advertised only with beautiful people at the beach. It must be a true reflection of what this will do to you. We have done the same before by banning the advertisement of cigarette in South Africa, and what is to follow is alcohol.
Now, I don't talk anymore a lot the way I used to in the beginning. If you watch my older videos, you would know I speak strongly against drinking. Smoking, for me, goes without saying, But I have seen quite a few number of people who drink responsibly. So it has messed up my mind. But the majority of what alcohol has done in my life, in terms of what I have seen, for me, alcohol destroys dreams. Alcohol destroys financial literacy and financial understanding, financial management. Alcohol destroys families. Alcohol makes people do stupid mistakes. A lot of car accidents are because of abuse of alcohol and all of those things. I don't drink, I don't smoke. That's me. But you know how alcohol, it has this inner demon that it has, that when you speak to people that consume it, they are quickly to defend it. So I'm happy that the CIC is saying this. I also agree. when you advertise alcohol on TV and smoking, show us the West results. I know it won't stop a lot of people, but show us the West of the West. Show what alcohol can do when people drunk, as we see on social media, unaliving their girlfriends, live on Facebook. When people make car accident, causes car accidents, when people are coughing out blood because of too much smoking and all of those things, the impact of smoking even to the children, even to the next people. Advertise it like that. Don't show us these nice things that you guys are advertising. I'm not going to say more about it. I can see that you're already wanting to click next. So for you to continue watching this video, let me just drop it there. The CIC also spoke about, you know how Nigerians, when we fight them, they always say, but we Nigerians assisted you, South Africa, in the term when it was tough for you guys during apartheid. The CIC also touched on that.
Former President Murtala Mohammed famously declared that Africa had come of age, that the continent will no longer tolerate interference from outside powers, and this still rings true today. Nigeria set up the Southern African Relief Fund, mobilizing its citizens to contribute to the liberation struggle, even as it faced its own challenges at home. These initiatives raised millions of dollars to support the liberation of South Africa. People paid directly from their salaries to contribute to the liberation of the people of South Africa. Nigerian students sacrificed a portion of their income through the Mandela Tax, which supported an educational training program for Black South Africans, and successive Nigerian governments never stopped in their material and moral support for South Africa's liberation. In fact, Nigerian government boycotted the 1976 Olympic Games and the 1979 Commonwealth Games in protest and in opposition to apartheid government. We cannot forget all those who stood by us during difficult times. Nor can we forget that when Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, one of his earliest international visits was to Lagos and Abuja to personally thank the Nigerian people. This gesture are foundation of a bond sealed in blood and sacrifice. However, this history must not remain in the past. This bond between South Africa and Nigeria must be carried forward into the present, not just in political sentiment, but in concrete economic collaboration. Both our nations stand as giants of the continent. South Africa, with its industrial base, mining capacity, and advanced financial system. Nigeria, with its vast population, vibrant entrepreneurial spirit, oil and gas resources, and cultural dynamism that has captured the imagination of the world. Together, we hold the keys to Africa's industrialization and economic independence. Consider what lies beneath our soils. Nigeria is blessed with abundant oil, natural gas, and growing agricultural sector. South Africa holds some of the richest deposits of platinum, gold, manganese, and coal in the world. Combined, we possess the minerals that power modern technology, the energy resources that fuel global industry, and the human capital to build a self-sufficient continent. Yet, both our nation remains trapped in neo-colonial arrangements where our raw materials are extracted cheaply and exported to Europe, America, and Asia, only to be sold back to us at crazy prices as finished goods. This is a cycle of dependency we must break.
When we talk about the bond of Nigeria and South Africa, it is our politicians that has failed us. I promise you. CIC, Julius and the Economic Freedom Fighters, is probably the only party that speaks about African unity and African oneness. I don't follow Nigerian politics that much, so I'm not sure if the same sentiments are being sang from that side. The people who were assisting South Africa during the hard times. There's supposed to be a celebration of April 10th. When did we vote? April 10th, 1994 in Nigeria. So that the people of Nigeria can always remember South Africans' independence that they played a part in. Their names need to be celebrated in South Africa. We've got a lot of apartheid masters, slaves, names still hanging around in South Africa. Street names, building names, city names, township names, and all of those things that are named after apartheid slave masters. And we are proud of that. Instead of celebrating our own Robert Mugabe and Patrice Lumumba and all of those people, we Samora Machel, we don't celebrate any of those people. We are all right to name a city Kimberley. When you ask people who is Kimberley, they can't tell you. They don't know who Kimberley is. Zakala, Bafet. Zakala. So this issue of South Africans not knowing the history that we have with Nigeria and Nigerians not knowing the history that they have in South Africa, it leads us to fighting each other here. You guys know the issue about xenophobia. The CIC also touched on that. Let's listen to what he said.
And the painful experience of xenophobia. Let me be unequivocal here. Xenophobia is a betrayal of African unity. It is a sickness born of poverty, inequality, and government failure. But its victims are our African brothers and sisters. Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, and Somalis are not the cause of the South Africa's unemployment crisis. The cause lies in the untransformed economy of South Africa, which remains in the hands of white minority and multinational corporations who continue to exploit labor while refusing to industrialize. Attacking fellow Africans diverts anger from the real enemy, and we must educate our people that unity, not division, is the solution to the African crisis. If we want to end one-way migration, where Nigerians are forced to leave home in search of opportunity in South Africa, we must integrate our economies. Young Nigerian engineers should be able to work in Johannesburg, Gaborone, Windhoek, Harare, Cairo, and Accra, not as foreigners, but as Africans contributing to Africa. South African entrepreneurs should be able to set up in Lagos without suspicion, but with support as partner in the shared future. We must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people.
So, yes, I do agree with the CIC. I mean, xenophobia is the greatest betrayal to African unity. The reason I agree with that is because the unity of African unity, the unity of Africans, when xenophobic activities happen, it sends us back 10 steps back, and it's so difficult to even take one step ahead for African unity, if you know what I mean. People fight in the African Union Parliament. We're always fighting as Africans. So when we do this thing, it takes us 10 steps back, and it takes us so much work just to have one step in front. You know, sometimes it takes a sporting event. Sometimes it takes an African to do something extraordinary just for us to take one step back. And then there's fights and everything. Then it 10 steps back again. So it is a sickness of poverty. But I agree with the CIC. Only affects the poor, this issue of xenophobia. There are Nigerians, Congolese, and whoever who are living luxury lives here in South Africa. That does not affect them. What xenophobia affects the poorest of the poorest there in Alexandra, in Soweto, in Tembisa, in the township, in the rural gutters. That's where those who are working so hard in the factories, those are the ones that get affected by xenophobia, really. Others can be affected by discrimination and all of that, but not so much as xenophobia to the point of death, ladies and gentlemen. So that's something that we need to be aware of. You know, so we need unity, we need unity. That is going to be our solution to the division that we are having. So we need to integrate, excuse me, our education system. I strongly agree with that. So let's hear what is the CIC saying about our strategy.
My comrades, as I close, I want to state that as Africans, our fight has never been confined to the borders. From the very beginning, the struggle of South Africa against apartheid, we knew that suffering of one oppressed people anywhere in the world is the suffering of all oppressed people everywhere. It was in that spirit that South Africa, during its liberation struggle, was embraced by Nigeria and other African nations, who declared that apartheid was not simply a South African problem, but an African and global crime. It is in that same spirit that today we say our liberation as Africans will remain incomplete if we turn a blind eye to the struggles of those who continue to suffer under occupation, colonialism, imperialism, and economic exploitation. It is this tradition of solidarity that compels us today to speak clearly on the struggle of other oppressed people. The EFF continues to stand firmly with Western Sahara, Palestine, Cuba, Haiti, the Democratic Republic of Congo as a commitment to international law and justice. In Western Sahara, Morocco's continued occupation violates the principle of the United Nations Charter and the African Union's Constitutive Act, both of which enshrined the right to self-determination. The International Court of Justice affirmed in 1975 that Morocco had no sovereignty over Western Sahara. Yet, decades later, the Sahrawi people remain dispossessed. In Palestine, we are witnessing one of the gravest violations of international law in modern history. The apartheid regime of Israel has for decades defied UN resolutions, the Geneva Conventions, and international humanitarian law. Collective punishment, the bombing of hospitals, the illegal taking of land, the killing of children, and the deliberate starvation of populations are crimes under the Roman Statute of the International Criminal Court. The world cannot remain neutral in the face of genocide. And just as apartheid South Africa was declared a crime against humanity, so too must be the international community recognize and act against Israel's apartheid and genocide. The importance of fighting on the level of the law was made evident in this case when the South African government took Israel to International Court of Justice to report their crimes when no other country will do so. This fight in international court was won when the court declared that indeed Israel was perpetuating genocide, a win that was necessary to sway some support away from Israel and to embolden other countries to speak out.
I envision a world where making weapons becomes illegal. Making weapons of mass destruction is totally illegal. I envision that world because what is happening in West Sahara, in the case of Morocco, what is happening there in Palestine, and in many Haiti, in many other countries, is crazy. So the CIC is saying the struggle of one oppressed is the struggle of all of us. It affects us, all of us. I agree with that. I agree with that. So I really enjoyed this speech, guys. I really enjoyed this speech. I listened to it 2 times. And the third time I said, no, man, let me just cut this down because I know other people are simply not going to listen to this whole thing. They're simply not going to listen to this whole thing because they just hate the CIC, just in jail. I was afraid. In fact, I observed that after the 2024 elections, that the EFF took a back step about talking about, let me not say about open borders, about educating Africans about what they mean about open borders. No other leader speaks about it. Only the CIC. For me, you guys will correct me, I know, in the comment section. I think Gadi spoke about it there in Botswana. Godrich Gadi, the deputy president. But not really. Back then, there was Dr. Ndlozi, there was Floyd, and there was enough noise about this open borders issue. And people did not understand the integration message in the open borders. But let me tell you something. When the CIC spoke about that we demand one Africa, woo! The way the CIC closed this thing was so touching. It was so touching. I wish that message was said in front of Africans, South Africans, because that little arena was going to be, the roof was going to blow off. Just as Africans, we celebrate differently. But the applause that they gave the CIC, you could see that he got through to them. He got through to them. Let me watch this one with you guys. Let's just watch this one together.
We demand one Africa. We demand borderless Africa. We demand Africa with one president, with one currency, with one military command, with one parliament, because we know the currency of Africa will be much more stronger against the American currency. We don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. We are not subject of Trump. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump. We must stand together as the world changes and show the world that Africa is one and Africa is equal to all nations, to China, to Russia, to America. We are not just a small nation. We are a big nation. We are not a dark continent. How can we be dark when we've got diamond that is shining amongst us? We are a shining nation. I thank you.
Beautiful. Just look at how they are appreciating him. Just look at how they are appreciating our CIC. This is touching to me, guys. You guys might take this as a small anyana moment. This to me is very important. Very important. The CIC is still young, 43, 44 years. Still young. Still young. Look how he is received in Nigeria. We have had a lot of African people saying, you guys don't understand what you have in the CIC. And this is the scenes. In Nigeria, you will think that Nigerians don't love South Africans when you look at the stories online. Just look at how they received the CIC up until he sat down. We are proud of you, CIC. We are proud of you, CIC. We are proud of you, Nigerians. There is a handful of us South Africans who want to see African unity. We really want to see it. We really want to see it. This channel pushes for that. One currency, one army, one government, one president. Well, I'm pushing for that all the time. It's a dream of mine. It's where I want to see Africa become. And that is why I was drawn to the EFF. That's why I was drawn to the EFF, to the point that I voted the EFF. I'm not a member of the EFF, please. I'm not a member of the EFF, but I believe in the principles of one Africa. And for me, they were the party that was singing that louder than all the other parties. I voted for Black First, Land First. Totally understood them, totally understood Wandile Ngcitama and loved what he was saying. But you know that organization was destroyed because of the viciousness of how Wandile Ngcitama was delivering his message. But now the EFF is the last hope for African unity in as far as when we talk about South African politics. You can say the MK political party as well. when you hear their message in Ghana. Maybe I should break down that message that Dr. Hlophe read. Also, beautiful message by Dr. John Hlophe as well. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. The cry is good talking, good in talking. We are good in talking, but is it going to translate to action? And if it's going to translate to action, in what form? In what form? You know, yeah, that's the issue. That's the issue. When you look at it in South African content, you understand that 9% of South Africans voted EFF. So you can understand how far we are. But because we are going into a unknown galaxy of coalition government, you'll never know who will be the next president. That nonsense that Gayton has said to say maybe he's running for president and people are scared, that can happen in South Africa. You'll never know who, because the president is not chosen by the voters, unfortunately. So I'm very happy with the speech of CIC. I give him 8.5 out of 10. The reason I give him 8.5 out of 10, I normally, I think you guys have heard me say this, CIC and Zuma, I don't like them when they read. I love them when they speak from the heart and there's no script in front of them. But I know for some events, you need to stick to the script and make sure that you deliver it properly. But I would have loved, after he delivered the speech, he talked a little bit after so that he can drive the points at home, because that's the raw CIC that we fell in love with. So tell me, what do you think, guys, about this message from the CIC on the comment section? Yo, guys, let me go and sleep. What time is it now? It's almost 3, guys. Oh my God. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in on King Seso. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you indeed enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button. We are chasing 60,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'll really appreciate it if you help me with that. Click the subscribe button, click the like button, and leave your thoughts on the comment section after hitting that bell icon. Until we meet again, don't forget to pray. But after you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace and Pan-Africanism. I salute you.